18 perennials to propagate from cuttings. This fall, grow more, spend less. Hello, friends and fellow plant lovers. Welcome back to Earthly Delights, where we turn small corners into green sanctuaries and transform ordinary gardens into spaces of wonder. If you're someone who finds joy in nurturing plants from kitchen windowsills or turning forgotten flower beds into blooming pockets of life, this video was made for you. Whether you're an indoor gardener with a love for propagation experiments, a backyard grower eager to expand your perennial borders without spending a dime, or a first-time plant parent hoping to multiply your favorites, you're not alone. You're part of a growing, soil-loving, leaf-sniffing community. And today, I'm going to let you in on one of fall's best-kept secrets, the incredible power of cuttings. Yes, this quiet season, when most gardeners are winding down, is actually the perfect time to multiply the plants you already have. You don't need fancy equipment, just a little patience, a few cuttings, and a bit of know-how. So grab your coffee, settle in, and don't forget to hit subscribe to join our growing family of green thumbs right here on Earthly Delights. Ready? Let's unlock your fall garden's hidden potential. Part 1. The 5 simple things you need to start propagating this fall. Before we even touch a pair of scissors or pick up that first cutting, let's talk about what you actually need to get started. Because I promise you, it's probably already in your home or garden. You don't need a greenhouse. You don't need grow lights. You don't even need a green thumb. What you do need are just 5 simple things, and each one plays a quiet but essential role in your success this fall. First, soil. Not fancy, not complicated, just something well-draining. You can use potting mix, garden soil, or even repurpose the soil from your summer pots. If you've got perlite or compost, great. But if not, don't overthink it. Next, containers. Any size will do as long as it drains. Old yogurt cups, seed trays, repurposed mugs, whatever you have. It's not about perfection, it's about starting. Third, a clean, sharp pair of scissors or pruners. Dull blades can crush the stem and reduce the chances of rooting. Sharp, clean cuts give your plants the best head start. Fourth, you need a healthy mother plant, the one you love and want more of. Look for stems that are green, vibrant, and not flowering. That's where the energy is. And finally, water. Don't underestimate it. A moist environment is the difference between success and a sad, crispy stick in a pot. Once you have these 5, soil, containers, scissors, a healthy plant, and water, you're more than ready. In fact, you're already ahead of most people who wait until spring. Now that you're equipped, let's look at which plants you should start with. Ones that even beginner gardeners can grow from cuttings. Ready? Let's go. Part 2, 18 perennials that thrive when propagated in fall. Fall might feel like the season of winding down, but for these 18 perennials, it's actually the perfect time to begin again. In this next section, I'll walk you through each plant one by one, starting with the easiest, most forgiving varieties. Whether you have a sunny balcony or a shaded backyard, there's something here for everyone. Let's begin. 2.1. Sedum Autumn Joy, the resilient rooter. Let's start with one of the most reliable and beginner-friendly choices. Sedum, especially the variety known as Autumn Joy. If you've ever doubted your plant skills, this is the one that'll rebuild your confidence. Sedum is a succulent perennial, which means it stores water in its thick leaves, making it extremely forgiving if you forget to water once or twice. In the fall, the stems are strong, and the flower heads begin to fade into a rich coppery tone. That's your cue. Take a stem cutting, preferably one that hasn't flowered too heavily, and remove the lower leaves. Trim any remaining blooms to help the cutting focus all its energy on forming roots. Then, gently tuck it into your pot near the edge, where it will be easier to remove later. Water it lightly and keep it in a bright, warm spot that's out of direct sun. A porch corner, a windowsill, or even your greenhouse bench will do. Give it 4 to 6 weeks and you'll start seeing tiny new shoots. You're proof that the magic has begun. 2.2. Achillea yarrow, the carefree bloomer that multiplies with ease. Next up is Achillea, better known as yarrow, a garden classic that brings a soft, meadow-like charm to any space. Loved for its feathery foliage and clusters of tiny flowers in pastel pinks, bold reds, and in buttery yellows, yarrow isn't just beautiful, it's also one of the easiest perennials to propagate from cuttings in the fall. Here's what to do. Choose a green, healthy stem that hasn't turned woody. Avoid flower heads. Those sap energy and slow rooting. Snip just below a leaf node, remove the lower leaves and, just like with sedum, plant it along the edge of your container. What makes yarrow special is how tough it is. It doesn't mind poor soil, it thrives on neglect, and once it roots, it spreads enthusiastically, creating clumps that fill borders or containers with grace. Even if your garden is dry or your watering schedule is, well, forgetful, yarrow will still show up for you. Place your pot somewhere warm but shaded. Water it just enough to keep the soil lightly moist. Within a few weeks, that soft, fern-like foliage will begin to push new growth. And just like that, you've cloned a little piece of your summer garden for next year. 2.3. Fuchsia. The delicate beauty that bounces back strong. Now let's talk about fuchsia, a plant that's often seen as delicate, even fussy, but once you understand it, it rewards you with breathtaking, drooping blooms that look like tiny ballerinas in motion. If you've ever fallen in love with a fuchsia and wished you had more, fall cuttings are your golden opportunity. Start by finding a healthy green stem that hasn't flowered recently. You want something soft and flexible, not woody. Snip it just above a leaf node, then strip off the lower leaves, especially near the base. If there's a flower bud forming, pinch it off. That may feel harsh, but it's essential. The plant needs to put all its energy into rooting, not blooming. Place the cutting around the edge of a small pot filled with well-draining soil. Fuchsia prefers humidity, so lightly misting the leaves or placing a clear plastic dome over the pot can help maintain moisture. Keep it in a bright, sheltered spot, like a porch or indoor windowsill out of direct sun. With patience, you'll see new shoots form in just a few weeks. These cuttings grow into full, flowering plants by the next season. Perfect for hanging baskets, shaded corners, or gifting to someone who needs a little joy in bloom. 2.4. Wallflower, Erissimum, the scented survivor that keeps on giving. Now, let's meet the wallflower, or Erissimum, a soft-scented, low-maintenance wonder that's often overlooked but never underperforms. If you've ever admired its long-lasting blooms in spring, you'll be glad to know you can propagate it easily in the fall, giving you a head start on next year's garden. Start by selecting a healthy, non-flowering stem. Wallflowers often put out new growth toward the end of summer. Look for the sound green stems that haven't started forming seeds yet. Snip just below a leaf joint, and as always, strip the lower leaves. If you see a small flower or bud, pinch it off with care. Plant your cuttings along the rim of a small pot filled with lightly moist compost or garden soil. The key here is warmth and airflow. Place the pot somewhere sheltered, like a sunny porch, a cold frame, or even inside near a bright window. One of the great things about wallflowers is their resilience. They root quickly and tolerate cooler temperatures well. And once they're established, they burst into color early in the season, when most of your garden is still waking up. With just a little fall effort, you'll have a full flush of blooms come spring without spending a cent at the garden center. 2.5. Lavender, the fragrant favorite that's easier to grow than you think. Next in our list is the beloved lavender, a plant so fragrant and calming, it feels like a little vacation every time you brush past it. And here's the best part. You don't have to buy more. With just a few smart cuttings in the fall, you can multiply your lavender and fill your home, garden, or balcony with soothing scent for years to come. Begin by choosing a non-flowering stem from your lavender plant. One that's green, flexible, and about 3-4 inches long. Snip it just below a leaf node, then gently strip off the lower leaves. If there's a flower bud or dried bloom, remove that too. This tells the cutting to focus on root development, not bloom production. Plant it around the edge of a small pot filled with sandy, well-draining soil. Lavender hates soggy roots. Place it somewhere warm and bright, but shielded from harsh sun. Think a sunny windowsill, greenhouse bench, or a sheltered porch. Don't panic if the leaves turn gray or brittle at first. That's normal. In time, new green shoots will push through, signaling that roots are forming beneath the surface. Lavender takes a little patience, but once rooted, it's one of the most rewarding plants to propagate. Imagine a dozen new lavender pots next spring, all from this quiet autumn effort. 2.6. Monarda, bee balm, the pollinator magnet. You can multiply for free. Coming in strong is Monarda, better known as bee balm, a vibrant, wild-looking perennial that hummingbirds, bees, and butterflies can't resist. Its fiery reds, purples, and pinks bring bold color and life to any garden. And fall is a surprisingly perfect time to give it new roots. To propagate Monarda, look for healthy side shoots that aren't flowering. These will have the most energy stored for root development. Snip a stem about 4 inches long just below a node and remove the lower leaves. Be sure to also take off any buds or blooms. Remember, we want all that energy focused downward, not upward. Insert your cutting into moist, well-draining soil, preferably around the rim of a pot to avoid root tangling. Keep it out of direct sun, but somewhere warm and bright, like a patio corner or windowsill. Covering the pot with a clear plastic bag can help lock in humidity, creating the ideal environment for root growth. Within a few weeks, you'll notice new leaves emerging. That's your signal. Rooting was successful. With just a handful of cuttings this fall, you can create a pollinator paradise by next summer without spending a cent at the nursery. Monarda is bold, beautiful, and generous. Once you grow one, you'll always want more. 2.7. Agastache, the bee-loving herb with a spicy twist. Let's move on to a true garden gem. Agastache, also known as anise hyssop. With its tall, spiky flowers and soft licorice scent, this perennial is a magnet for bees and butterflies, and a surprisingly easy candidate for fall propagation. Choose a stem that's green, firm, and hasn't flowered recently. Avoid woody sections or those covered in seed heads. Cut just below a leaf node and remove the lower leaves. If the upper leaves are large, you can trim them in half to reduce moisture loss. Tuck your cutting into well-drained, slightly sandy soil around the edge of a small pot. Agastache likes a bit of airflow, so don't overcrowd your cuttings. Place the pot in a sheltered, warm location, out of direct sunlight, but not too cold either. A sunny indoor windowsill, unheated greenhouse, or covered porch works well. Keep the soil lightly moist and be patient. Agastache roots quietly but steadily. Within a few weeks, you'll see new growth pushing up, a sign your cutting has taken hold. This plant doesn't just grow, it flourishes, often blooming into late summer the following year. It's perfect for gardeners who want to support pollinators, enjoy herbal teas, or simply fill the garden with fragrant spikes of color. All from one quiet afternoon of fall cuttings. 2.8. Butterfly bush, Buddleia, the fast-growing showstopper for every corner. Next up is the butterfly bush, or Buddleia, a vigorous, fast-growing perennial shrub that lives up to its name by drawing butterflies in droves, with its cone-shaped clusters of purple, white, or pink flowers. It adds instant drama to any garden, and lucky for us, it's incredibly easy to propagate in the fall. Look for a green, non-woody stem about 6 inches long. Even though Buddleia can be propagated from older wood, using softwood cuttings increases your chances of success. Cut just below a leaf node, remove the bottom leaves, and snip off any flower heads or buds. Insert your cuttings around the edges of a medium-sized pot filled with moist, well-draining soil. Butterfly bush roots quickly, so don't be surprised if you see new growth in just a few weeks. Keep the pot somewhere bright but sheltered. Too much sun can dry it out before roots have a chance to form. Once rooted, this plant takes off. You'll likely need to repot or transplant it by spring. With just a few fall cuttings, you can create a whole row of butterfly-attracting beauty for borders, large containers, or sunny backyards. It's bold, it's generous, and it thrives on being shared. 2.9. Salvia, the colorful performer that comes back stronger. Every season, let's turn to salvia, a striking perennial known for its vivid blue, purple, and red spires that keep blooming long into the warm months. If you've ever had a salvia plant buzzing with bees and butterflies, you already know how much it brings a garden to life. And guess what? Fall is an excellent time to grow more of it, right from cuttings. Start by finding a green, healthy stem that hasn't flowered recently. The best cuttings are about 4 or 5 inches long, soft to the touch and free from woody parts. Snip just below a leaf node and remove the bottom set of leaves. If the top leaves are large, trim them in half to reduce water loss. Place the cutting in a pot with moist, well-drained soil. Again, always along the rim to avoid root tangling later. Keep the container in a warm, bright spot that's protected from harsh sun. If indoors, a windowsill works beautifully. Mist lightly every few days to keep humidity up. Salvia tends to root fast when given the right environment, and once it does, it grows vigorously. By next spring, your new plants will be ready to explode with color, and all from a simple fall project. One plant today can become a sea of bloom next year, buzzing with life. 2.10 phlox, the cottage garden classic that spreads with just one snip. Now we come to phlox, a charming perennial that brings soft color and sweet fragrance to garden borders, pots, and even wildflower-style beds. Its clusters of blooms in pink, white, lavender, and fuchsia are a cottage garden favorite, and fall is the perfect time to make more of them from simple cuttings. Choose a healthy, non-flowering stem about 4 to 6 inches long. Look for one with vibrant green leaves and no signs of disease. Snip the stem just below a node, then strip away the lower leaves to expose a clean section that can sit in the soil. If the top leaves are large, trim them down to reduce transpiration. Plant the cutting near the edge of a deep container filled with moist, loose potting mix. Phlox grows taller than some of the other perennials on this list, so a deeper pot helps support early root development. Mist the topsoil lightly and place the pot in a warm, bright area out of direct sunlight. Over the next few weeks, you may see the stem wilt slightly, but don't worry. New leaf buds will emerge, signaling that roots are forming below. By spring, your phlox will be ready to transplant, and with a few fall cuttings, you'll have a soft, colorful blanket of blooms dancing in the breeze come summer. 2-11, penstemon, the graceful bloomer that roots like a dream. Let's talk about a true underrated gem, penstemon. Known for its tubular flowers and graceful, upright form, penstemon adds elegance and height to flower beds while attracting hummingbirds and bees. And the best part? It roots from cuttings in fall with almost no fuss at all. Start by selecting a fresh green stem, one that hasn't flowered recently and isn't too woody. Around 4 to 5 inches long is ideal. Snip it clean just below a leaf node, then remove the lower leaves to prepare the cutting. If your stem has any developing flower buds, pinch them off to ensure the plant focuses its energy downward. Place the cutting in moist, well-draining soil along the outer rim of a small pot. Penstemon appreciates air circulation, so avoid overcrowding. You can cover the pot loosely with a clear plastic dome or bag to maintain humidity, but make sure to air it out daily to prevent mold. Keep the pot in a warm, sheltered area that receives bright but indirect light. With minimal effort, roots will begin to form within a few weeks. Once new leaves appear, you'll know it's working. Penstemon's elegant flower spikes will return in full glory by summer, and you'll smile knowing they all began from one simple autumn afternoon with scissors and soil. 2-12. Delphinium, the elegant giant that begins with a gentle lift. Next on our list is the majestic delphinium, a tall, regal bloomer that adds vertical drama to any garden with its towers of blue, purple, or white flowers. While it may look delicate, delphinium is surprisingly generous when it comes to propagation, especially in the fall, when its energy shifts from flowering to root building. Unlike other cuttings that start from soft stems, delphiniums are best propagated using basal shoots, those little growths at the base of the plant. To harvest one, gently dig around the base with a narrow trowel or even a spoon. Look for a young green shoot emerging from the soil near the main crown. Once you find one, carefully snip it with a tiny piece of the main root attached. This tiny heel of root gives your cutting a stronger head start. Plant it into a small pot with rich, well-draining compost, placing it near the edge for easy removal later. Water lightly and place it somewhere protected, like a bright shed, unheated greenhouse, or cool indoor window. Delphiniums may take a little longer to root than softer plants, but once they do, they grow fast and tall. With care and patience, this one small cutting will become a bold summer statement next year. A true reminder that even the most towering beauties start with the smallest nudge. 2.13. Lupin, the bold bloomer that starts with a simple knob. Now let's take a closer look at lupin, a plant known for its bold, spire-like flowers in rich blues, pinks, and purples. With their tall stature and architectural beauty, lupins are a standout in any border. But what many gardeners don't realize is just how easy they are to multiply from cuttings taken in the fall. Unlike traditional stem cuttings, lupins are best propagated using what's called a basal cutting, or a small knob-like shoot that grows at the base of the plant. These side shoots often appear after flowering, especially if you've trimmed the plant back in late summer. Look for a healthy shoot near the soil line and gently remove it with a clean snip, taking care to include a tiny piece of the base or heel. Plant your cutting in a small pot filled with well-drained soil. It's important to keep the soil slightly moist, but not wet, as lupins dislike soggy roots. Place the pot in a sheltered, bright location like a cold frame, porch corner, or greenhouse. The foliage may look a bit chewed or tired. Don't worry. New growth will emerge in a few weeks if the cutting takes root. With just one successful basal shoot, you can create a whole new lupin plant that will erupt in bold color by next season. A little knob now, a showstopper later. 2.14, elderflower black lace, the ornamental shrub that's shockingly easy to multiply. Now let's turn to something with real garden presence. Elderflower black lace, a striking perennial shrub with dark, almost purple-black foliage and delicate pink blooms. It looks exotic, even high maintenance. But don't let the looks fool you. This beauty is one of the easiest plants to propagate from cuttings, especially in the fall. The secret? Go for softwood. Look for a young, flexible green stem. Not too woody, not flowering. Cut a piece about 6 inches long just below a node and remove the bottom leaves. If there's any sign of a bud or flower, gently pinch it off to direct the plant's energy into root formation. Place your cutting in moist, well-draining soil in a small pot, ideally around the outer edge. Then position the pot somewhere bright but sheltered. Think porch, unheated greenhouse, or a protected patio corner. You can even root this indoors near a sunny window. Keep the soil moist, and within a few weeks, you'll likely notice subtle signs of new growth. That's when you know your elderflower cutting has taken hold. In a year, it'll fill out into a dramatic foliage plant perfect for borders, backdrops, or even large containers. With just one cutting today, you could soon have a whole row of dark, lacy elegance swaying in the breeze. 2.15, hydrangea, the big bloomer that starts small and roots fast. Coming up next is the ever-popular hydrangea, a classic favorite known for its globe-like clusters of blue, pink, or white blooms that brighten up shady corners and cottage gardens. What many indoor and backyard gardeners don't realize is how easy it is to propagate hydrangeas in the fall, and how fast they take root when done right. Begin by selecting a soft green stem. Skip anything woody or old. Cut just below a leaf node on a stem about 4-6 inches long. Strip off the lower leaves and any developing flower buds. You want the plant to focus entirely on forming roots, not maintaining flowers or foliage. Prepare a small pot with moist, well-draining soil and place your cutting near the edge to make transplanting easier later. A mix of potting soil and a bit of perlite is ideal for hydrangeas, as they like a little airflow around their roots. Place your pot somewhere bright but out of direct sunlight. A shady porch, sheltered balcony, or even an indoor windowsill will work. Lightly mist the leaves and keep the soil damp but not soggy. Within weeks, you'll notice new growth pushing through, a sure sign that your cutting is establishing itself. One fall cutting can grow into a lush shrub that returns year after year, and all it takes is a gentle snip and a little care today. 2.16, ivy, English ivy, the effortless climber for indoors or out. Now let's shift to something both classic and incredibly versatile. English ivy. Whether you're covering a fence, trailing it from a bookshelf, or adding life to a dull corner, ivy is a go-to plant that thrives indoors or out. And the best part? It roots from cuttings with almost no effort at all. In the fall, look for a healthy vine with several leaf nodes. Snip a 4-6-inch segment just below a node. Then remove the leaves from the bottom half of the cutting. This is where the roots will form. You can root ivy in either water or soil. Yes, it's that adaptable. If rooting in water, place your cutting in a clear glass jar and set it on a windowsill with indirect light. You'll start to see fine white roots form within 1 or 2 weeks. If you prefer soil, plant the cutting near the edge of a small pot filled with moist, well-draining mix. Either method works beautifully, but remember, ivy likes humidity and steady warmth, so avoid placing it in drafty or overly dry spots. Once rooted, transplant it to a bigger pot or let it trail from a hanging basket. From just a few snips, you can fill your home with lush, trailing green that cleans your air and lifts your space. No garden required. It's a propagator's dream. 2-17, Shasta Daisy, the classic bloom that spreads with a simple snip. Replacing the snake plant on our list is the timeless Shasta Daisy, a cheerful perennial that brings a burst of sunshine to garden borders year after year. With its crisp white petals and golden centers, it's a symbol of simple beauty and one of the easiest perennials to multiply from cuttings in the fall. Look for healthy green side shoots that are free from flowers. Using clean pruners, snip a 4 or 5-inch section just below a leaf node. Remove the lower leaves, leaving only a couple at the top. Plant your cutting near the edge of a small pot filled with moist, well-draining soil. Place the pot in a bright but sheltered location, out of direct midday sun. Keep the soil lightly moist, and within a few weeks, you'll spot fresh growth. By spring, your new daisy plants will be ready to take their place in the garden, filling it with months of bloom. From a single fall afternoon of cuttings, you can have an entire drift of Shasta daisies swaying in the summer breeze. Bright, bold, and completely homegrown. 2.18, Coneflower, Echinacea. The herbal hero that comes back stronger every year. Last, but by no means least, is the vibrant and hardy coneflower, also known as Echinacea. This perennial not only adds long-lasting color to your garden with its signature daisy-like blooms, but it's also beloved for its herbal benefits and ability to thrive in tough conditions. And yes, it's a fantastic candidate for fall propagation. Instead of taking a traditional soft stem cutting, the best method for coneflower is to harvest a basal shoot, a small side growth near the base of the plant. These shoots often appear after flowering has finished and the plant begins to conserve energy for winter. Gently dig around the base to find a healthy offshoot with a bit of root attached. Use a clean, sharp knife or pruner's saw to carefully separate it from the main crown. Plant the cutting in a pot filled with light, well-draining soil. Add sand or perlite for extra airflow if needed. Keep it in a cool, sheltered spot where it still receives some indirect sunlight, and water lightly. Coneflower cuttings don't need much fuss. They'll quietly settle in and begin pushing new leaves as their roots take hold. By spring, that little cutting will be ready for your garden beds, borders, or containers, bringing pollinators, beauty, and healing vibes with it. One small effort now, and you'll enjoy the rewards for seasons to come. Part 3, the mistakes that stop your cuttings from growing and how to avoid them. By now, you've got your favorite plants picked out, your cuttings are tucked neatly into pots, and you're probably dreaming about all the lush new growth to come. But before we move on, let's pause. Because even with the best intentions, there are a few common mistakes that can quietly sabotage your propagation efforts, especially if you're new to the process. The first one, overwatering. It's the #1 way to kill a cutting. When soil stays too wet, it suffocates the stem and encourages rot before roots can form. Always aim for moist, not soggy. Stick your finger in the soil. If it feels like a wrung-out sponge, you're in the sweet spot. Another big one, choosing the wrong stem. It's tempting to snip the tallest, prettiest flower stalk, but that's the worst choice for cuttings. Flowering stems divert energy upward into bloom, not downward into root. Instead, go for green, flexible stems without buds. That's where the real growth happens. Then there's sunlight, or rather too much of it. New cuttings can't handle harsh, direct light. Think bright but filtered, like a porch corner or a windowsill with sheer curtains. And finally, a surprisingly common mistake, forgetting to label. When you're working with multiple cuttings, it's easy to forget what's what. A simple stick with a name on it will save you a lot of head scratching come spring. The good news? These are all easy to fix. And now that you know what to avoid, your cuttings have a much better chance of becoming something truly beautiful. Ready to give them their best shot? Let's talk about the tips and tricks that make all the difference. Part 4, simple tricks that boost your cutting success. Now that we've sidestepped the common pitfalls, let's shift into something more hopeful. The small, often overlooked tricks that quietly make a big difference. Because in gardening, it's rarely about doing more. It's about doing just enough of the right thing. One of the best tricks? Creating a mini greenhouse. You don't need anything fancy, just a clear plastic bag or a repurposed salad container will do. Covering your cuttings creates a little humidity bubble, which helps prevent them from drying out too fast. Just remember to lift the cover once a day to let fresh air in and avoid mold. Another helpful tip, use what you already have. Cinnamon, for example, is a natural antifungal that can be dusted on the end of a cutting to prevent rot. Aloe vera gel, yes, straight from the leaf, isn't just for sunburns. It's a gentle rooting hormone packed with nutrients. These small touches can increase your success rate more than you'd think. And here's something I tell every new gardener. Write it down. Keep a little propagation notebook or even just a few labels stuck in the soil. Date your cuttings, track what worked. When spring rolls around, you'll have your own custom guide built from real experience. With just a bit of cleverness and care, you can turn a tray of fall cuttings into a thriving garden for the new season. And the best part? You'll know every single plant was grown by your hands, from nothing but patience and a little belief. Now, shall we wrap it all up and bring this propagation journey full circle? Let's head into the final chapter. Why fall cuttings are the beginning, not the end. And now, as we come to the final part of this journey, I want to leave you with a gentle reminder. One that every gardener learns sooner or later. Fall isn't just the end of the growing season. It's the quiet beginning of everything to come. While most people see autumn as a time for rest, compost, and cleanup, you now know the deeper truth. Those cool days and fading blooms are full of possibility. Every cutting you have taken is a small promise, a seed of potential tucked into soil. And even though the changes may be invisible for weeks, growth is happening beneath the surface. You might not see it yet, but in a few months you'll notice new leaves unfurling, stronger roots anchoring into the soil. And one day you'll walk into your garden or glance at your windowsill and think, wait, I made that. And that's what makes fall cuttings so special. They're quiet, they're personal, and they carry your care forward into the next season without needing anything fancy or loud. Just your attention, your time, and your belief. So wherever you are, whether you're gardening from a balcony, a backyard, or a kitchen table, I hope you keep going. And if you found inspiration here today, don't forget to subscribe to Earthly Delights for more stories, how-tos, and green wisdom to grow by. Your journey is just getting started.